This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
What's up, you guys? The Wrestling Old Head here in the portal of pro wrestling, and I hope you guys had a good week. There was an episode of AEW Dynamite that I'd like to go over, but I don't want to go over the whole show. I just want to focus on one particular segment that happened on Wednesday's Dynamite, and it's between MVP and MJF. And so it was one of the brighter spots of AEW Dynamite. Dynamite could have been a lot better. As far as I was aware, there were a lot of injuries, so an on-the-fly decision had to be made, which is why you saw mostly promos. It kind of mirrored what apparently happened for New Japan Pro Wrestling when their turnbuckle post broke, so then they just had to fill time by doing promos. Very similar. And there were some matches. Most of the matches weren't like, you know, oh man, I got to go check this out type matches. I mean, it was very reminiscent to AEW Rampage or AEW Collision, but there was a promo exchange between MJF and MVP that was rather fascinating to me, and I want to talk about it. So during this promo, MJF is cutting a promo on Hangman Adam Page, typical heel promo from MJF, but he's talking about how he's just going to brush that loss off his shoulders, and he's not really a loser in the long game. Hangman Page will be a loser, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And then MVP interrupts this promo, and for a minute, we think he's going to get in the ring and there's going to be some tension. And then after a while, they're going face to face, and then they hug. And it's a very interesting moment. And then, MVP starts laughing about the old times when he first met MJF and, giving him compliments and everything like that. And then he proceeds to pull out one of his business cards and hands it to MJF. Now, before MJF picks the card or grabs it, he says basically like, thank you, but no thank you. And he does it in typical MJF fashion. Now, MVP says, I don't hand this card to anybody. And then says, you're not what we thought you're not being that killer that we thought you were. You're not showing that anger that you have. You're not putting the fear in the hearts of your future opponents and whatnot. And so then he gave MJF the card. MJF took it and thought about it. MVP gave him one more look. And it was an interesting look, and then he walked out. Now, I don't know AEW. I'm a wrestling fan, okay? Number one, I observe professional wrestling, so I'm not here to take the easy road out and play bipartisan and everything like that. I'm going to call it like I see it. AEW, a lot of the times, they're not really into paying attention to details, okay? It's just it. They have a specific way of doing their programs and their storylines, and the WWE has a way of doing their programs and storylines. With the WWE, they make sure that you have to be paying attention to every backstage segment and every in-ring promo and sometimes every match, because you might miss something that plays a factor in what happens later on down the road, either on their PLEs or on their television programs. They want you to pay attention. They've got stuff going on in the background. They've got little details here and there, little nods and winks and nudges. They keep you trying to pay attention, okay? With AEW, there are times where you don't really have to pay much attention. If you're not particularly interested in a wrestling match, you can catch the previews online, and then it'll catch you up to speed, okay? I'm just keeping it at that. Wow. But one of the things that I noticed about this promo led me to believe that maybe there's an interesting detail that lies ahead, and that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the potential for this promo battle to lead to some really great things down the road based on the interaction. MJF right now is having a situation with Hangman Adam Page, okay? Bobby Lashley earlier last year, towards the end of 2024, had a match with Swerve Strickland. He beat Swerve Strickland pretty decisively, if I might add, okay? They never revisited that. And there's been rumors on the internet. I'm sure you guys can find them. I don't want to get into them here. But they were basically saying that, this program wasn't going to work. They moved on to something else, yada, yada. But it's still left open, and there can be some interesting things that can come from this. Now, the Hurt Syndicate are the AEW World Tag Team Champions, okay? And they hurt people. So what MVP might have been doing was not giving MJF a card to say, you need to join the Hurt Syndicate, but maybe letting him know that we can take care of someone for you. Now, I might be reading too much into this. This is just kind of what I do. So bear with me here for a second. But if that is what they're planning on doing, if MJF is going to run into Hangman Adam Page and realize, I can't beat this motherfucker, whatever it is, then you can have the Hurt Syndicate jump him pretty badly in the back. Now, there was a moment about 4 or 5 weeks ago, it might have even been in January, where Hangman Page was knocking on Swerve Strickland's door, and there was an interviewer, can't remember if it was Lexi Nair or Renee Paquette. One of them came up to talk to Hangman about it. He deflected, okay? Now, they can revisit that moment when Hangman needs to talk to Swerve about the Hurt Syndicate. This can lead to Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland teaming up to go against the Hurt Syndicate, which could lead to the AEW World Tag Team Champions being Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. Now, this will require a ton of story progression. Now, they don't have to become best friends. This can be a situation where Swerve doesn't like Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin or MVP. So he's not doing this because he wants to team with Hangman Adam Page or even because he likes Hangman Adam Page. He's doing it so that he can handle the Hurt Syndicate. They can, you can roll a story where the Hurt Syndicate get involved with something with Swerve as well, which leads to the match, which leads to a backstage confrontation between Hangman Adam Page and Swerve, where they both decide we don't like each other, but we'd much rather kick the Hurt Syndicate's ass, and then we can deal with whatever issues that we have, and then they become tag team champions, and they have to roll with that. It can be a great way of keeping Swerve and Hangman away from the top of the card, but by still being in and around that area with the tag team championships. It can also bolster your AEW tag team division, which is squandering at the moment. I can't find a suitable challenger for Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin that would actually work, and I could actually buy into pinning and beating the Hurt Syndicate for the tag team titles. They don't have them. They don't have a tag team ready, and they seemingly won't have a tag team ready for a while. It ain't going to be Lance Storm. It ain't going to be Lance Archer and Brian Cage, okay? Brody King and Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews is hurt right now, so I don't know when they're going to get them back. Keith Lee has been missing. I don't know if he has health issues or what's going on, but I don't think Swerve in Your Glory is going to be coming back very soon either. So this can be the best opportunity they have. It kind of mirrors what was going on between Hangman Page and Kenny Omega back towards the beginning of AEW, but in a different way. Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland are no strangers. They have had a bitter blood feud in AEW, and it seems like there is never going to be a reconciliation for them. But this can be a perfect opportunity because I know they have to respect each other at this point. They damn near killed each other and had almost the feud of the year, in my opinion, last year. So to put them in a scenario where they're unlikely partners and tag team champions and feuding with the Hurt Syndicate, now you've got a situation where the Hurt Syndicate still look formidable, because Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page are badasses, and they're believable in a battle with Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin coming out victorious. It's possible. We can see it. So I think that would be a good step there. And for MJF, it can get MJF away from Hangman Adam Page for now, and then he can focus on a myriad of different programs for him. Will Ospreay, he can maybe revisit something with Kenny Omega, which they've only had a match. I believe it was on Collision, but they haven't had a feud. They haven't had a program. They need to revisit that. I don't know. Was that actually, I'm not sure who won that. I don't know if it went to a time limit or if MJF won. I can't remember. But that's something else that they can revisit right there. I know that the trajectory and what we're seeing with Kenny Omega is that he's going to beat Kazuchika Okada, and then he's going to, unify the international and continental titles, which I see that happening as well. But after that, you can do something with MJF and Kenny Omega. I like how they're threading all of these programs together. You've got Ricochet, you've got Swerve, you've got Hangman, you've got MJF, you've got Jon Moxley, you've got Cope, you've got Christian Cage, you've got Hook and Samoa Joe. They all seem to be being threaded. Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, the Don Callis family, they all seem to be kind of rotating around each other. If you can continue to build that emotionality and get us invested in these characters and where they're going next, I think you have a really good upper card to main event that we can all get invested in. And you can't give them all main event matches, and you can't all put them at the top of the card and rotate them around for main events. I mean, you definitely could, but again, you only have one AEW World Championship. You have a ton of other fucking belts, but the AEW World Championship is just a singles title for now. So to keep these top upper card main event type of players busy, you got to do stuff like that. You got to move them around and keep them busy. And I think that this program potentially with Swerve and Hangman having MJF do something like put a hit out on Hangman Adam Page, have the Hurt Syndicate beat the ever-loving shit out of him, beat him really bad to the point where MJF actually feels bad. Like, damn, I didn't want you to hurt him that bad. And MVP laughing like, this is what we do. We hurt people. And then that leads to Swerve maybe getting jumped by Hurt Syndicate, which would then pit Swerve and Hangman in a tag match against the Hurt Syndicate for the tag titles. Swerve and Hangman win. I think that is something that can be very intriguing and can really work to, like I said, not only bolster up the tag division, but keep your top guys busy before they get a shot at the AEW World Championship. Because if we're still planning on getting to Darby Allin and Jon Moxley, then Swerve, I'm sorry to say, is not going to be winning at Dynasty. But that's just what I think. I think that if that is the goal that they're getting to, then something's got to happen with Swerve. And I understand Ricochet could potentially be getting involved in that match as well and cost him, but you can still play off of that. Ricochet can get a tag team partner and go after Swerve and Hangman Adam Page. You can even pit Ricochet and MJF against Swerve and Hangman for the tag titles in a scenario on Dynamite, and I think that could be a huge matchup. So I'm just tossing that around, just an idea that I saw when I was looking at the program that I pictured, and I was like, that'll be interesting if they can do that. Not to say that they would actually do that, but if they did, I'm telling you, it's not the worst idea ever. At least that's what I think. But what do you guys think? Is that the worst idea that you've ever heard in your entire life? If it is, let me know in the comments, you guys. Let me know. What do you see with Swerve and Hangman Adam Page going forward? Do you think they're going to reignite their feud going into 2025? In the middle of 2025, is MJF going? What is he going to do with that card that he has? What's he going to do with that? Is he going to put a hit out on Hangman? Is he going to join the Hurt Syndicate? I mean, he's already wearing the suits. It's not the worst idea that MJF could ever do, is be in the Hurt Syndicate. I can see it actually in a weird way. Him standing behind the two big muscles of Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. It's not the worst idea ever. But you guys let me know in the comments what you think. Thumbs up on the way out. You guys keep me in the know and keeps me out there floating around in the stratosphere as the portal starts to expand and eventually swallow the entire wrestling community. Pause. And again, this is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling, and as always, stay tuned for more.